Right, a very good morning. You're watching the Kokoliriko show on West Nile Television. My name is Federick Dramadri, and we'll be taking it from here up to the hour of 9 a.m. And that's where we are going to really discuss a lot of issues. I want to say thank you for those of you who are catching us live right now, and those who are still sleeping or trying to prepare to go for work. It is really time for you to really start really going, because by 8 a.m. we expect those in offices, in public offices, to be on, but also the business persons. By now we expected you to have already made some money, especially those who are making tea, those who are making a lot of drinks and so on. This is the moment you can easily make money, and those with the cool weather and right away you should be able to make a lot of money in your tea selling joints and so on. There are so many of them in Arua city that you'll be able to see, and we are located here on Weatherhead Park Lane. It is at 13 minutes past 7 a.m. For those of you who really want to make business with West Nile TV and make sure that their businesses are advertised, you should be able to come to Weatherhead Park Lane. That is plot number 39A. That is in Arua city, and you should be able to interact with some of the officers responsible. But also you can also write direct to them using the Gmail account, that is West Nile Station, West Nile TV Station at gmail.com, and that's where you should be able to interact with some of them directly, and that's how you will be making a business or advertising your business with those who are outside the world. And remember, there are so many issues that we'll be really discussing here. First things first, those who are watching us within Arua city, I welcome you. Those in Maracha, Tereko, Koboko, Yumbe, Adjumani, Moyo, and many other districts like Adjumani, Bongi, talk about Pakwat, Nebi municipality, Nebi district, Zombo district, and those across the Nile, and those are those districts in the Albertan region, and those in Lango and the Cholsha regions, the eastern and then central. We welcome all of you. Those who are watching us away from Uganda, we say thank you very much, that this show is there to impact knowledge and really shape the nation and tell you what is happening, what are the issues, what is it that needed to be corrected, and what is it that needed to be appreciated. That is all unpacked in this show, and it comes every Monday up to Fridays at such an hour up to 9 a.m. That is where you'll be able to also get the news in Lubarati that will be coming up there next by the Lubara team that is led by Feta Emmanuel, and you will have Farish Majid, who is behind the editing and looking at the Lubara words that are written there. Those are some of the team members that will be really bringing for you that news, and also those who are there to really care for you in terms of bringing detailed analysis of the issues that happen there, led by Christine Okumuringa. And those are some of the staff that you'll be able to interact or face in your day-to-day interactions. When you talk about the Nilecast, when you talk about the Wishful Time, when you talk about many other programs that we have here, the cultural perspective, that is Lubara Mabi, and many others. You have also the news in Alur, that is the Lemangia of West Nile TV. That will be led by Pish or Chak. You'll be able to get some of those in the afternoon, and the subsequent hours you'll be getting engaged with our programming and really be entertained as you learn a lot of things. And we'll end up the day with the Chuk program. That is where you have the entertainment scene brought to you by Hassan the Big Brother, Han Liz, and DJ Moss, that will be mixing the music and so on. Many other entertainment stories will be unpacked in that show, and many others that will be concluded by the Nilecast and many other programs that will follow from that time. And those are some of the programs that will be unleashing, that will be following up. And if you have never really watched West Nile TV, that is the interesting part that you'll be able to watch. And it is the Kokoliriko show that starts the day, and that is where we'll be really moving to. And there are so many issues that are happening within the region. Remember, over the weekend, a lot of stories were there, and we really want to share with you some of them. But most importantly, we'll be having guests in the second hour of the show. That will be 7:30 a.m. up to the end time of Kokoliriko. We'll be having a lot of issues discussed about mental health concerns in the country, but also what does the situation in the region look like, and who are those people involved in this, and what are the factors that are contributing to mental health challenges in this region. But also looking at the impact of this, we'll be really unpacking all of this with the guests and trying to look at what is really necessary for us to base ourselves into, and also how can we really move away from the challenges associated by some of the substances that contribute to mental health. But also you know very well that there are so many other areas that may not be really somebody's issue, but generally you find yourself having mental illness. And what are those factors? Those will be unpacked by the psychiatric person, and also we have one person who will be coming from the community leader, one of them who will be also trying to share with us what is happening in the community. But technically, we will really basically rely on the health experts who will be able to tell us what is really happening, and looking at the situation of what is happening in the region or in the country. Where are we and how far have we gone? Those are some of the things that will be really unveiling in this show. And be there, you'll be able to get the guests who are there and what they have for you. That's where you'll be able to get learning some of the issues that are happening. And remember, over the weekend, there are so many issues that came up. Remember, there was a protest by the Cornwall victims in Arua City around the State Lodge, and this is here in Arua City. Remember, the Cornwall victims gathered across the region, around 1,000 of them. We are really protesting on the streets of Arua City, coming up to the presidential State Lodge, which is here on Weatherhead Park Lane, moving to Mvara. And this is where really people cited a lot of issues, and they in their argument explained that a lot of issues have been really, or strides have been made by government in trying to compensate persons that were affected by the LRI war that was in 1889 up to 18 something there, 1890 something. And this was the guerrilla war scene, and where that was led by the LRI leader, that is Joseph Kony, which this really made instability across the region. Talk about those in eastern and all those in northern, and these were most affected persons. Remember, this really culminated into deaths, loss of lives, loss of property, among several other impacts of such a conflict that you will say. And there are so many of them who really explained that they lost huge volumes of their trade items, commodities and so on, in the due course of trying to run or maybe trying to hide from the guerrillas. And I remember government also took an initiative to evict the LRA war persons, okay, the people who were participating in this, including Joseph Kony, who is now at large. And these are some of the things that happened, and many people really got injured, many people died, many people lost their animals, crops and so on. And some of them, majority of them, were the business persons who would really go and bring items from Kampala, from other parts of this country. But crossing to West Nile was a challenge. Remember, there were ambushes around Machizon Falls, around Pakwach Bridge and so on. And these were really where people had challenges, and the roads were not clear like these days, where we have open roads. You can travel to Kampala a day and come back the following day like that. But people used to travel for quite a long period of time. Maybe you take 1 week traveling to Kampala because of the bad state of the roads, interference by wild animals, and so on and so on. Those were some of the things that really made people lose a lot of crops and goods. Okay, those were some of the things, and they wanted government to be to compensate them, since in some parts of this country the war claimants have been compensated. And remember, over the week also, the war claimants of Tesoro really won a court case against the government that at least 3,000 of them petitioned a case actually against the government because they were not compensated during the LRA war era. And really the High Court, actually the court ruled that these people be compensated. Each person, the business person, should be compensated 20 million shillings, and also the son should be given 10 million Ugandan shillings, but also resettlement and those other interferences and other expenses be tabulated to 5 million Ugandan shillings per family or per person. And those were some of the rulings, outcomes of the court case, but we are yet to see whether government will be able to respond to this. And remember, there are a lot of issues around the war claimants, the issues of compensation, the issues to do with many other issues that are around the LRA war, and there are so many. And remember, the court against one of the commanders is still being had at Hague, and these are really trials over trials. And remember, government had vowed to do compensation for the people, the war claimants, and so on. So this is where the issues are trying to come up with, coming up, and so many of the issues that were considered were the article, article section 24, Section 21, Section 23, and these are really of the 1995 Constitution, which clearly indicates that people are supposed to be protected by government, their lives, their property, and so on are supposed to be provided by government. And it is the mandate of government really to make sure that those who have maybe gotten injuries in the due course of a war and so on, it's the government to really compensate such persons. And that's where really the judges were trying to base their arguments. But remember, the stories around Yovan Edrico still remain as it was. And remember, the second time an application has been launched by Jimmy Madira, who comes from Madira and Company Advocates, has still been futile. And this is the second time. And we are yet to see whether another one will be launched, but this is something that has continued to feature day in, day out, because the family members of Yovan really wanted him out because they depend entirely on him. And there are so many other issues around, many people trying to also come in to look for, especially those who are depending entirely on him. There are some children paid by him and so on. Now children are going to sit for exams. Those were some of the issues that were raised in the second application. But nevertheless, this was still turned down because the money lending institution, that is a Jubilee Finance financial institution, said they needed at least 1 month for the member of parliament to first be there before they receive their monies. And those were some of the issues that were tagged around the storage of Yovan Edrico. So if you've been following up whether the MP is out, that is the developing story there. The MP is not yet out. He's still in the cells, okay? He's still in the shells, and he's still being detained serving his sentence. Remember, he was jailed for 6 months for not paying 55 million Ugandan shillings, and with penalties, the court ruled that he should be able to pay 58 point something million Ugandan shillings, and that is where the story has really remained. And remember, World Bank is still on the neck of Uganda, saying that if the Anti-Homosexuality Act is not amended, they are not going to really give Uganda more loans. But I remember Uganda has really benefited from World Bank through different projects, and from that, Uganda has been able to invest 5.25 million US dollars. That is a very huge amount of money in Ugandan shillings that has been injected in several enterprises. Talk about constructions, talk about many other things like bridges and many others, construction of roads, ICT materials, and so on, under the different programs like Dr. Deep, the USMID projects, the WAT, and so on. You can mention those were some of the issues that are still roaming around Africa. Remember, Uganda's rise has been really identified to be having a lot of metals, and this is one research that was published recently on Friday, and this really came as a result of a research that was intensified by Makerere University and many other universities in Kampala sub-region. And you realize that around Kampala metropolitan area, there are so many people who have complained about the quality of the rice they are eating. And according to the researchers, the rice that is consumed in Uganda, that is produced in Uganda, contains some of the metals. And these metals are quite dangerous. They have long-lasting impact on the health of the people. And some of them have been described to be cancerous. They can cause cancer in the long run if you eat for a long time. But the experts are saying that it could be prevented if people wash this rice very cleanly. But when you are trying to cook it, you need to wash it thoroughly. But it may not wash it all, and that's where they said it may have a long-term impact. And 54% of the rice consumed in Uganda is said to have those metals. And this story was also shared on the Nile Post and the African News. And this is where we are even getting these stories from. And those are some of the issues that are happening in the country. And as earlier on, I told you that in the second hour of the show, that will be from 7:30, we'll be having the guests. And the guests are already here. Let's take a break. When we come back, we should be able to introduce to you who they are and what we are going to say about. And remember, there are so many stories that are within the region, but we may not really dive so much into them, as we have the mental health issues pertinent that we want to discuss about here in a few seconds to come. Thank you. Let's take a break.
West Nile TV, lighting up the region.
Star Times UPL new season starts 15th September. Go for it!
What a finish from Kukume!
The Ugandan flair, Brazilian samba, Portuguese magic, the night football craze. More TV games live on Senyuka Prime and Fufa TV only on Star Times. The Star Times UPL. Our league, go for it.
West Nile TV, lighting up the region.
Football, our boys, our style. Star Times UPL new season starts 15th September. Go for it!
What a finish from Kukume!
The Ugandan flair, Brazilian samba, Portuguese magic, the night football craze. More TV games live on Senyuka Prime and Fufa TV only on Star Times. The Star Times UPL. Our league, go for it.
West Nile TV, lighting up the region.
Football, our boys, our style. Star Times UPL new season starts 15th September. Go for it!
What a finish from Kukume!
The Ugandan flair, Brazilian samba, Portuguese magic, the night football craze. More TV games live on Senyuka Prime and Fufa TV only on Star Times. The Star Times UPL. Our league, go for it.
West Nile TV, lighting up the region.
Our style. Star Times UPL new season starts 15th September. Go for it.
What a finish for Master Fukume!
The Ugandan flair, Brazilian samba, Portuguese magic, the night football craze. More TV games live on Senyuka Prime and Fufa TV only on Star Times. The Star Times UPL. Our league. Go for it.
West Nile TV, lighting up the region.
All right, welcome back from that commercial break. Earlier on, I told you that I will be really moving to a topical discussions, and this will be something you should be able to pick a leaf or learn something from, because the issues to do with mental health in Western region in Uganda has continued to escalate and really affect so many people, and this is where we want to come to and see whether we can really be able to have a prevention other than cure at this moment. And remember, earlier on there were publications last month that 1.8 million Ugandans are mentally sick. Okay, so you might be counted in one of these, or you might be having someone who is mentally sick at home, but you might have not known whether this person is sick or not. And those are some of the issues that we want to really move into. What are some of these causes? What are some of the ways we could prevent mental sickness? And there are so many ways people really get into the situation that we're talking about, that is mental illness. And you realize that recently the law that was there to prevent people from coming into contact with some of the narcotic drugs and other psychotropical substances that lead to the mental sickness or mental illness, some of them, the law has been annulled, and this is where really Parliament was really trying to bring out something really for the president to jot the signatures down onto, and up to now it has not been approved. That means we have a bill, but we cannot enforce it, and those are some of the issues. How is this really affecting the communities? And those are some of the areas that we want to really move into. I have a guest from Hema Hospital, okay, that will be really discussing with him. Maybe my guest, you are most welcome.
Thank you.
Okay, if you could introduce the names to some of the people who want to see what we are talking about and who is talking to them. Right?
Good morning, viewers. I'm called Gasham Ojoko from Hama Hospital. I'm a mental health worker. That is a clinical officer.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, that is from the direct person. There are so many issues around mental health. Maybe if you could describe for us what a mental health issue is like, okay? If you look at somebody who is said to be having mental illness, how does he look like, and what does it contain to say somebody is mentally ill? Yes, if you can pick it from there.
Thank you. Mental health is a universal human right which must be observed, and we say there's no health without mental health. So in every situation, one must be mentally healthy in order to perform well. So when do you say somebody has mental health, good mental health? Good mental health means that if an individual is able to realize his own capacity or potential, is able to withstand day-to-day stress, is able to work productively and contribute positively towards community development, we say somebody is mentally healthy. Yes. So if one is not able to identify his own potentials, is not able to withstand to day-to-day stresses, and cannot work productively towards the community contribution, and then we say somebody has mental health problems. And doesn't mean that all people who have mental illness or mental health problems should be on the streets. Actually, the levels vary. And you may be functioning, meanwhile you have mental health problems. Unless somebody talks to you, that they may not know that somebody has mental health problems. But the community always based the arguments on those who are walking naked, who are dirty on the streets, but there are those who are actually in suits and who are also having mental health challenges. And let's talk to them. That's where you can realize that people have issues with the mental health. And the world has set a day apart for commemoration and for remembering health challenges in mental health. That is the 10th of October is the World Health Organization Mental Health Day. But as a country, because we have our independence on 9th of October, the government has agreed to push it to 10th of November, so that independence does not overlap the Mental Health Day. We have to celebrate ours on 10th of November, and usually it's rotational. The theme for this year is mental health is a human right. Yes.
Okay, so those are some of the issues he is trying to bring out, and I don't know if we could regard those on the streets who move naked, who go maybe sleeping under trees and so on as mental ill persons. Actually, I'm just reading a report here that has been published by World Health Organization, and said that 14 million Ugandans are mental ill, and 35% of these are the young people. And you realize that majority of those who are said to be mental ill are not really coming on the streets, okay? The 50% are not coming on the streets, but you realize that those on the streets, you see they are comprise 25% of the mental ill persons. And how do you detect that somebody is mental ill? Maybe, doctor, if you can share with us about that.
Thank you. This is a broad question you have asked. There are different areas which you can assess in order to come up that someone has mental problems. One is by observing the behavior of the person. Two, it is also to assess how the person talks, how somebody thinks, understands and interprets things, and how somebody perceives or interprets his own environment. So it is a comprehensive assessment which you need to go for, and for you to come up with somebody that has mental health problems. But of course, there are those who are what we call severely affected. You can obviously see they are dirty, they talk to themselves, they're on the streets, they eat from the rubbish. Some are aggressive, those ones can see, but there are those whom you need to take time with them in order to come that they have problems with the mental health.
Okay, if that is it, and then what is it that we can do as maybe health workers? What is it that you have so far done in order to ensure that mental health challenges are really detected and taken to the people that they should have done this A, B, C, D in order to really move away from the challenges that are attributed to mental health illness? Okay, if I'm right on that.
Well, ours as health workers to educate the community about existence of mental health, and we engage various stakeholders in addressing this or disseminating information about mental health. We can use VHTs who are in the communities there. The VHTs are those who are in the community to help us to talk to people. We also involve the political leaders, LCs, if they can help us to disseminate information about the mental health, so that if anybody is presenting with the symptoms or challenges of mental health, they can be referred to health facility for assessment and for treatment.
Okay, what are some of the common things that contribute to mental health? I'm meant to understand that traditional people used to say mental health is attributed to a cause from maybe the persons who are concerned, talk about elders. Sometimes they say your mother was not buried well and so on. Those are some of the issues that could really bring mental health. Is this the same situation that we have in the modern era?
Thank you. Some of those things we call them myths or misconceptions. Like another illness, mental health challenges exist even in biblical times. Jesus was able to heal those who had mental illness. So it is actually part of our living. If another part of the body can get illness, what about the brain? The brain can get illness like another part of the body. So it need to be treated and also to be assessed. It's not necessarily that it is a witchcraft, maybe your relative not to have those rituals which are needed for a particular event, no.
Okay, in your life, I'm sure you might have treated someone from mental illness. What are some of those common things that contribute to mental illness in West Nile? Let's talk general. In West Nile, what are some of those factors that you see really leading to mental illness in this region?
Well, science says there's no actual known cause of mental illness. However, there are a group of factors. When come together, they can make somebody to break down with the mental illness. So there are so many. One of them could be, like there are certain diseases which run in the family, like asthma, diabetes, hypertension. The same is with the mental illness. There are people who are genetically predisposed. If this person is genetically predisposed in a sense that one of the great-grandfathers maybe had mental illness, the same trait of gene can be passed to children. And if one of these children or offsprings are subjected to other adverse social events or stresses, it can make this person develop the mental illness. Yes. Another one is the physical illness. As you know that our body is a complex thing, and our brain is the main organ which controls our body system. If another physical illness comes in, it can affect the normal function of our brain, and somebody can develop mental illness. Diseases affecting our brain like meningitis, TB, injury to the head due to accident, and other causes. Yes. And when our normal function of what we call chemicals in our body, which make our body to function, and the development of these chemical substances which make our brains to function, if levels are not regulated by the body due to other factors, it can result also to mental illness. Okay. Yes, of course, this is a dynamic world where things are changing. There are a lot of economic challenges people are going through. There are wars. All these, which we call psychosocial issues. So it can make somebody to break down because the situation becomes overwhelming, and if the person has low threshold to stress, he is prone to break down with mental illness. Of course, certain factors which are environmental, like pollution, the drugs which we use, medicinal or which we use for recreation, all this can actually cause mental illness. Yes. Okay.
So looking at some of these kind of factors that you have identified, many people have really attributed mental illness largely to drug and substance abuse that is really manifesting in the region or in the country at large. And this has been really one thing that is worrying stakeholders, because some of these drugs are grown in the vicinity of the community, and this has been really a very great challenge that leaders have really tried to push but it has failed. What do you say in relation to this? What is the combination between somebody consuming a drug and the mind of the person getting ill?
Well, the world trend is changing. The communicable diseases are diminishing, and the non-communicable diseases are actually coming to overtake communicable diseases. When you talk of communicable diseases, these are diseases which can be transmitted from one person to another, and because of science and the improvement in our health sector, these conditions are actually going down. But instead now it is what they call non-communicable diseases like hypertension, diabetes, mental health challenges. They're actually overtaking the communicable diseases which are previously dominant. And among those non-communicable diseases, we have mental illness, and the research has shown that worldwide, it is actually second leading disease of burden to governments in this world. So one of the causes, as we said, one of the causes of mental illness is the use of substances. And there are very many types of substances which people use. Before we talk about them, what is a drug? What is a substance? A drug or a substance is anything taken into the body affects the normal function of the brain, resulting into abnormal behaviors. And we have different types of these substances or drugs. The commonest type of drug we use is actually tobacco. Tobacco has a chemical or a substance called nicotine. That's what people crave for. So if you take tobacco, it affects somehow your brain, how it works. But unfortunately, out of the 500 components of substances, different substances in tobacco, we only have nicotine, which is beneficial to what people use, but the rest of 499 are carcinogenic. When you talk of carcinogenic substances, these are substances which can result into cause of cancer. 2, alcohol is one of the leading substances which people use. But of course, people say it's a social kind of interaction and people tend to use it. There's no law over it. But many people are suffering with alcohol-related problems. Of course, each country or the regions where different types of substances are used. If you go to Afghanistan, India, Asia, they use different types of drugs. If you come to Africa, Uganda, the same type, different types. If you go to Latin America. So I'm going to talk about what is common in our region here. People tend to use alcohol, people tend to use tobacco, people tend to use other drugs like cannabis. Cannabis is one of the commonest abused substances in our region here. In Kiswahili, call it bangi. In Lugbara, we call it njai. In other parts, they call it marijuana. It is one of the commonly drugs used by youth in our region here. And it's related to causing mental illness, crime, behavioral changes, and so many. But there are also other substances or other drugs which our youth are trying to discover on their own. And if I mention them, some of them you will laugh. But of course, it is a serious problem.
Maybe if you can let us know also about them.
Well, there is this plant, nice flower called Datura strontium. Common language people use in Lugbara is the azangi. This is actually, according to what the youth say, it is more lethal than the cannabis itself. It is cheap, they are using it, and actually it's causing a lot of problems to them. We have other drugs like a cat, which people do not see as a drug, as a problem, but it's actually causing problems. And this cannabis does not go alone. They take it together with tobacco. Then there are also those who use cat, marungi. All the streets of Arua is covered with the drugs of cat, that's marungi. Even villages, trading centers, everybody is chewing it. It's a problem. Then they use with these nuts, which come from Congo, what they call Goro. These are all psychoactive stimulants. When you combine them together, it affects the normal function of the brain, and people tend to break down with the mental illnesses. So, but of course, very few are brought to hospital. The rest are suffering with it in the communities. Yes.
Okay, those are some of the issues that our psychiatric officer here is able to highlight. And remember, the stories around Azange, I was actually going to really move to that. And because we are a bit time bound, let's take a break. When we come back, we'll be able to move further to underline some of those words, those drugs, and also the implication into the human bodies. And I remember a chemical reaction with the white blood cells and so on with these drugs and so on, they really bring out so many impacts into your body. And maybe if I drink water today, it might have a good impact on me, but when somebody drinks it, it feels different for the person. And those are some of the things that really bring out some of these issues. Remember, somebody might be able to take tobacco, it is safe for him. To the other one, it may not be safe. And those are some of the things that we want to understand detailed, why this happens like that, and also how really some of these come into the case that we call mental illness. And knowing very well that mental health is a human right, we are now aware that keeping healthy is everyone's responsibility. Let's take a break.
West Nile TV, lighting up the region.
Season starts 15th September. Go for it!
What a finish from Fukume!
The Ugandan flair, Brazilian samba, Portuguese magic, the night football craze. More TV games live on Senyuka Prime and Fufa TV only on Star Times. The Star Times UPL. Our league, go for it.
West Nile TV, lighting up the region.
Football, our boys, our style. Star Times UPL new season starts 15th September. Go for it!
What a finish from Fukume!
The Ugandan flair, Brazilian samba, Portuguese magic, the night football craze. More TV games live on Senyuka Prime and Fufa TV only on Star Times. The Star Times UPL. Our league, go for it.
West Nile TV, lighting up the region. West Nile TV, lighting up the region.
All right, welcome back from that commercial break. We're still continuing with the discussions around mental health issues, but also remember very well that on 10th of November we'll be celebrating the World Mental Health Day, and that will be commemorated here in Uganda. And those are some of the things that we want everyone to pay attention to, because a mental health challenge is everyone is a victim, okay? Is a potential candidate to mental health. You might get accident, you get illness in your mind and so on, your brain, maybe when your head gets some injuries and so on, you might become mental ill. And there are many other factors. And earlier on we were discussing with the psychiatric officer here, and he explained that there are so many factors that contribute to this. Even the alcohol you are drinking, you feel like you're okay, and for you to relieve fatigue, you need alcohol. Those are some of the things that contribute to mental health challenges. Maybe, doctor, let's first move to you before we usher in the new guest who has just joined us. That is the RDC Overall District, Geoffrey Okishwa. Let's talk about the relationship between the drugs that people consume and how they are able to really become mentally ill. What are some of these terminologies that maybe you could describe that situation where somebody is taking maybe a substance or a drug and he becomes mentally ill? How does this happen?
Thank you. As I told you, there are so many types of these drugs which vary from region to region. And because we have what we call global village, things are moving, people are moving from one continent to another. So many of these drugs from other places have also come to our region, including Arua town, Arua city. If you go to Asia, there's what we call opioids. Opioids, these are plants whose flowers, the sap or the juice is extracted and made into different types of substances which people abuse. And the common type from Asia is what we call heroin. It has hit our nation. People are using Kampala, even it's coming here. Some of this one can be given through the vein by injection. Others are sniffed or smoked. Then if you go to Asia, if you go to Latin America, we have this plant called cocastin tree. The leaves are crushed and the sap is also got and made in different forms, what we call cocaine. These are dangerous drugs which are also coming to our region here. So they can either be sniffed, smoked, or they can be injected through the vein. We have medicines which are used for treatment, but people tend to abuse them. These painkillers like morphine, very good painkiller for operations, but people are now beginning to use them for luxury, and they become addicted to them. But of course, marijuana is grown all over. That's what people commonly use. It depends on one's income. So these medicines are here, and how a person gets used to these medicines is you start gradually. As you start using these medicines or drugs, the body is so stupid that it gets used to it. You need to increase the amount you use in order to get the same desired effect of the drug. So in due course, you begin to crave or you begin to long for it, and it becomes a routine that the body gets used to it. Once the body gets used to it, you can't do without it. Whether it is causing for your body harm, you are getting mental illness problems, you are getting social problems, you are not bothered, you are already sick, and you need help. and you may not be able to identify yourself unless a family member of the community takes charge to bring you to hospital. And that's how serious it is.
Okay. So maybe let's think this drug that you said, Zanke. How does it behave? And are there some research that has been done around this plant? And maybe how do you maybe describe it in those technical terms for somebody to understand clearly what it does, how it looks like, and so on?
Well, this is a local discovery made by our youth in this region, and as a country, other parts of the country does not know about it. And recently, we were for a training somewhere. When I was trying to explain to these things to other people, they say, "Wow, this is a new innovation. Was not known about it." So science has not researched about it, but it is a medicinal plant which was known before. But the youth have just discovered the side effect as a drug which they are using. This Azaki has a nice seeds, and inside the pod there are tiny seeds which look like seeds of simsim. Others chew it, others put it in their socks. It is so little that even the skin can actually absorb it. Somebody gets high without even testing it. So the research has not been done about it because this is a local innovation of our youth, unless it is taken to laboratory and the further inquiry or research done about it. But what we know is it causes serious mental health challenges. Those who use it is worse than marijuana itself. So because if you take overdose of it, you eventually die. But we haven't done research about it. But it is a common problem which is ravaging our region. Many children are suffering with the effects of it, and that's how it is. Yes.
Okay, those are the pictures of what Azang looks like, and for those who may not know, you should be able to see what it is there in the pictures. And let's move to the Resident District Commission of Arua. Remember, recently there was a research disseminated at the Regional Referral Hospital last week, and in this research about mental illness, there were so many issues that came up, and one of the contributors are some of these new drugs that are coming up, but also looking at the issues of how the magnitude of the mental illness in the region looks like. You realize that it is Marsa district that is leading in Western region in terms of addiction among the youth, and also the implication of it on the mental health. And if you look at the statistics, you will realize that Marsa district has the highest in a regional referral hospital in terms of admissions of the young people who are really supposed to do developmental work. This is followed by Terego district, and then followed by Yumbe, followed by Koboko. Your district, Arua district, came number 4. And these are some of the issues that we want really geared towards preventing them before they escalate more and more. And maybe what do you make of this? Okisha, first of all, you are most welcome, and you can start it from where I've asked the question.
Okay, first of all, I must say I'm extremely grateful for being here once again for this conversation. A very, very important conversation indeed. My name, like you rightly put it, I'm Okiswa Geoffrey, Resident District Commissioner, Arua District.
Yes.
Yes, mental problems is a real problem. It's a very, very big problem. I can't even be happy that Arua, we have really tried our level best as a district. We want to bring it to 0. But where Arua still measures as number 4 in West Nile, that is still a very, very big problem indeed. I want to say that, I picked up from doctor, the psychiatric doctor, the truth is that mental health, as a matter of fact, is a pivot of our health. That when you are mentally disoriented, then you know that the whole of your lifestyle is extremely disoriented, and you cannot do much as required of a normal human being. It is a very, very big problem indeed. And like what scares me most is that the youth have, can I say, discovered another drug or substance other than the ones that we conventionally know. Because that one you have just shown a picture, I am told is one of the worst. Actually, when I was at DC Serere, I was again surprised to find that the youth that side had discovered the gray hair, that you mix gray hair with the paspalum, which the doctor you have mentioned, Dr. Nyati, recently disseminated that this is now a problem all over the country. You know, the youth are so dynamic and they are really very innovative. But if these energies could be taken towards the developmental issues, other than issues that are destroying their life, then this country would really move a step forward. So it is a big problem that in our district security committee meetings, we always talk about. We cannot finish a meeting without raising the issue of drug abuse, the issue of alcohol consumption, too much alcohol consumption, the issue of other substances like marijuana, like we talked of chewing Mairunji and all this. So these are the challenges we are living with. But of course, for now, the laws may not be as strong enough to ensure that there is enforcement. But what we do a lot of sensitization. A lot of sensitization to the extent that we really need to let the people know that once you get up with these substances, you get up with this alcohol, then you know you are destined to becoming mentally ill. And nobody would wish to see that kind of status, that you are mentally ill. Myself, I stayed, my sister was a nurse in the Butabika Hospital, referral hospital in Kampala, and I interfaced with the mentally ill in a number of occasions. I know how bad it is. In fact, there is a section for rehabilitating people that are of excessive consumption of alcohol. In fact, that was the first time that I realized that alcohol can lead to mental problems, to madness, in short. That some people may least know. Some people think that mental health problems are caused by either witchcraft, they are caused by either genetic inheritance from the other people, but these problems are caused by the people themselves. Like once my uncle told me that people dig the graveyards using their own teeth or their own mouth, because some of these things can be avoided. And we really need to talk much about this. That's why I came running here. I was extremely happy that you're inviting me to discuss something to do with the mental health. Recently, when that doctor revealed her statistics, it took almost all of us unaware. Actually, in one of her conclusions, she indicated that almost everybody is mad, but the degree of madness is what really matters now. And like you indicated, that in Uganda, I think we have like about 14 million?
14 million.
About 14 million. That is a big, so we also want a lot of investments in research. Because when research is done, then this information comes out and we let the public know. In one of the districts I was working as RDC, a very normal young man, about 25 years of age, who got frustrated just because he had a degree, was not getting a job. He started by smoking these ordinary cigarettes, then he went for bangi, that is marijuana. the fella started becoming talkative, and I'm telling you, within 1 year, he had already gone mad, completely mad. And this is what I am telling not only the youth, but it should really be a message to the entire population that running mad is just at your fingertips. The choice is actually yours. So the most important element here is one, raising lots of awareness, let people know. And I'm happy with the doctor, he has really raised it. But of course, there are others that may be situational. Like if you have a gene of a mad person maybe in your lineage, then that we normally say, please test and treat. Because there is a possibility of treating mental illness. I have seen people walk to Butapika Hospital, but come out when they are extremely healthy. And when they have changed their lifestyle, then they have become very, very normal people again in society. So I would really imagine that the choice is within our own reach, that you can take a choice to remain mentally ill, or to become mentally ill, or to remain mentally stable.
Okay, so that is it from the RDC Arua district. That's Geoffrey Okishwa. I'm very pleased that you have been able to make it, because nobody would have said whatever you have said just because you taught it. And it is you who can really put it better to the community, and that's why you are here. And we appreciate that you have been able to make it. And let me come back to the psychiatric officer here that I have, and I want to engage you on this. How much does it cost to really make someone who has maybe somebody in layman's language say runs mad, or somebody who has been mental ill, to really get back to cure or to get to the normal? How much does it cost?
This is a broad question, and this is a question which I may not answer the way you expect it to.
But you can try it in a different way.
Well, we have
yes,
different types of mental health challenges.
yes.
It can be mild, it can be moderate, it can be severe. And some of the causes of the mental health problems are psychological, others due to physical problems, as I mentioned earlier. Some are related due to drugs, and some are due to natural causes. So the management and the cause will depend on what the person is suffering from. Of course, there are those who have psychological issues. You simply talk to them, help them identify the problems, and give them a coping mechanism. And it can be very cheap by talking. It needs a specialist like a psychologist, social worker, a counselor can do that. Then, of course, there are those who may have mild type of mental illness, which could be psychological, and these actually are the ones dominating primary healthcare settings. Most facilities receive them. Somebody comes to help, I have a headache, I don't sleep. But unfortunately, our community tend to associate this chronic headache, which is related to stress and psychological issues, to typhoid. And people are actually misusing our good medicines for treating other diseases, for treating stress, which is just in the form of headache. But of course, those who are severely affected may require admission and medications. So the good thing is the government of Uganda has committed itself by providing for the people. So these medicines are available in hospitals. They assess you, then put you on medications. But of course, government does not supply all of these medicines because of the increasing number. The medicines may not be enough. Sometimes they are made to buy them. But of course, if you are treated early, you can live a normal life. And of course, some of these medications are expensive because some of these mental illnesses are chronic, you may need to take these medications for life, and it may have some kind of implication on the family budget.
Maybe in a private health facility, how much could this cost in terms of, let's talk about the one that needs medicines, not really talking to the person or guiding him on what to do and so on, the stress management and so on, those things. How much could this cost in a private facility for somebody to really get normal?
As I told you, it depends on how the person is presenting and how the problem is. There are those who may need simple tablets to take. Then there are those who may need admission. Then there are those who may need both admission, treatment, and talking to. And because medicines are of different types and of different prices. You can talk about something like 30,000 to 120, 150. That is the 0 and 50 phase, but of course the cost will go down as you go for subsequent reviews and the treatment. It also depends about how much the problem is and how the person is presenting. And I'm not definite that it is this amount. It depends on how the degree the person is affected with the mental illness. Yes.
So it can, how long does it take to treat a mental illness?
Well, it depends on how this person is presenting. As I said, some of them are psychological. You keep on talking to the person, maybe for a month, on appointment dates. Others, which you can give the medications, they go home to take. But of course, we usually treat mental illness for long. If we had time to discuss them one by one, such as depression and other types, you may need to take medication for some time. Like somebody who has depression, books say we treat from at least 9 months before 6 to 9 months before we stop the medications, because we continue monitoring this person on how he or she is progressing, looking at factors that might have caused the illness. If you're able to remove those factors which actually had caused the illness, then the person can live free of illness for some time. But of course, some of these mental illnesses are episodic. When you talk of being episodic, the person can improve, live a healthy life for some time, but of course, as other factors come in, as stress, then they're bound to get another relapse or attack. So that's how it is. But of course, there are those who may have the chronic type. They need to be on the medications for life, like for those patients who have diabetes and hypertension. But of course, if they take the medications very well with the social support and the good behavioral pattern, like not using other drugs, alcohol and the rest, they can live a normal life. And we have treated so many who are in the community there who are functioning very well. Okay. Yes.
All right, there were issues related to drugs, substances, and so on. And now that we don't have any really serious law directly that deals with the drug and substance abuse in this country, Okisho, I want to engage you in this. Arua district is one of the districts that promotes or produces tobacco on large amounts. And this has been attributed to one of the primary drugs that have been abused in this region. And maybe what are some of the interventions you people are trying to put to pull people out of tobacco production and many other drugs that have been consumed in the district?
First of all, it is illegal to cultivate marijuana. So here the intervention is enforcement. We get you with gardens of marijuana, we destroy it, and we also have you arrested and apprehended. At least there is a law for enforcement. However, with a crop like tobacco, as we all know, tobacco is not only a problem to the mental health, but it's also a problem to our general health. And that's why you see on a cigarette, there's always a disclaimer that is put there that you consume it at your own risk, or not for children. So what we are doing now is to cause lots of awareness, because after all, it is not even a worthwhile venture for our farmers to get so much engaged in tobacco cultivation. This is almost a worthless thing because really what you get at the end of it all, if you did the calculations, like His Excellency the President has always indicated, that whatever engagement you are on, whether commercial agriculture or any other business, you must do calculations. That what is the cost-benefit analysis, how much are you benefiting from it? So for us, we are talking to our people and we are telling them that why don't you tune to other alternatives? It is long ago that the colonialists brainwashed us and said that commercial crops or cash crops are only cotton, tobacco, tea and the like. But nowadays, if you went to Login, just a stone's throw away from here, you will find people cultivating Irish potatoes. And they make a lot of money out of Irish potatoes. So we have encouraged the people like of Arivu, where we have taken our mini irrigation scheme to get up with the horticulture, grow cabbages, grow tomatoes, grow onions, and they are doing it and they are making a lot of money. You see, like doctor may not have said it, that for us we need to concentrate more on prevention of mental health than treatment. Because the bigger percentage, I can't quote it, researchers can do it, is normally caused by situations which we can avoid. For instance, trauma. For instance, trauma, people who are so traumatized due to persistent conflict. Like my colleague one time told me that in Luero, when there was war, people started barking like dogs. And actually dogs had started talking like human beings. So this is all a situation of mental health. Now, trauma, depression, anxiety are all caused by particularly the problem we have of poverty. Poverty is the biggest cause of our mental health. Because people are so depressed, people are on debts, people want to fight poverty, but you find they go to money lenders, for example, to get loans at exorbitant prices. But the NRM government, in its manifesto commitments, has indicated that socio-economic transformation can now be attacked by providing cheap capital or an affordable capital to our people. Through PDM, we are now giving out the money and we're encouraging our people to do commercial agriculture. And I'm telling you, they're already doing well. There is a place I visited and I saw the old woman with 3 acres of cassava. And she told me she was in 3 acres, she was expecting to earn around 15 million, 5 million per acre. I really believed her. So these are the places, if we could approach this, then automatically tobacco growing will become history. We can now leave tobacco growing to maybe huge commercial cultivators like cotton. In eastern Uganda, Tororo in particular, where I come from, people were really growing cotton. But the perception was...
yes, we'll continue from there. Let's take a break and we'll still come back to you to understand what the situation in the communities is like and what you people are trying to do to ensure that people really do not have some of these issues in their homes. And rightly, they are able to really invest into some of the economical right aspects of life that can really take them very far. Let's take a break. When we come back, we'll be coming to the RDC really to switch on to whatever he was discussing.
West Nile TV, lighting up the region.
We are the passion you've been waiting for! It's Yunus Junior Santamon. It's our league, our football, our boys, our style. Star Times UPL new season starts 15th September. Go for it.
What a finish from Fukume!
The Ugandan flair, Brazilian samba, Portuguese magic, the night football craze. More TV games live on Senyuka Prime and Fufa TV only on Star Times. The Star Times UPL, our league, go for it.
West Nile TV, lighting up the region.
Okay, we're back from that commercial break. Earlier on, we were discussing the issues to do with the mental health challenges, and we are already trying to understand from the community perspective how communities should be able to come away from those issues of depression, stress, and so on that has highly been attributed to poverty. And this is where the RDC for Wadua district was trying to come up with some of the interventions that are taken as government to relieve people from those kind of issues. But remember, I also still have the psychiatric officer who is trying to unlist some of the technical issues behind mental health and also illness, the situation in the country and across the continents. Okay, remember, Uganda has been ranked number 6 in Africa in terms of mental illness, and you realize that 5.2% of the mental ill persons in Uganda are females, and this is caused by depression, and men constitute 4.2%, and this is something that is quite worrying, and you clearly understand that there's a lot that women are going through in terms of economical issues and also issues to do with dependence syndrome among the women. This is something that we really need to talk about seriously, because there are so many women who feel like it is their husbands who are supposed to provide at home. They are the ones who are supposed to do this, and because you married me, you should be the one caretaking on all the things, and they have tied their hands. I'm very happy that the government is trying to empower women, and at some point we've seen women economically empowered. We hope the statistics this year should be able to already reduce a bit. Maybe Okishwa, let's pick it from where you left. What those interventions that you are taking to ensure that communities come out of poverty, which is the leading factor, and also the issues of unemployment, that young people are so much forcing themselves into drug and substance abuse, leading to mental illness. Thank you. Let's pick it there.
Yeah, thank you. Exactly. Because like I put it, that once poverty paradox of questions are answered, then I am very certain that we would have already answered to a bigger extent the problem of mental health. Because like this morning I was listening to BBC, and it was indicating that in Britain the situation has lowered by 10%, while in America mental problems has heightened by 10%. But since we subscribe to the Commonwealth, the British side, then I am sure that this situation may not be as bad as we think it is in Uganda, particularly in Arua. Because since for the last 1 year in Arua, we have only registered 4 suicide issues in Arua district. 4 suicide issues. That is different from what it was some times ago, where suicide was just the order of the day. So we are saying that once the paradox of poverty is sorted out, and that people have their own money, dependence syndrome is chased away from people's mindset, then we would be good to go and say the rest we can manage. So that's why we have really talked to our leadership, because the whole thing also begins with the leadership. His Excellency the President has shown us the way. He has said, no, health matters are very, very important. Let us talk to our people about the health matters. Then we are now telling our chairpersons, LOC 1, 2, 3, LOC 5, our members of parliament, that together we can talk to our people. Particularly these ones who are now getting Mioga funds and parish development funds. That if they concentrate their time in their businesses, in their commercial agriculture. By the way, when you're in the garden and you really see that your crops are doing very well and you're expecting to harvest a big deal from your crops, you don't even have time to go and abuse drugs. It would be rare to find that a drunkard is in the garden. Drunkards are always in the trading centers, very idle. So we are telling people, concentrate. And once you concentrate in your gardens, then you are fighting poverty. And I am seeing, like, particularly women getting more and more empowered. Because rightfully, yes, our culture, that has been the practice, that women will depend on men. And if a man does not come back with a cavera, the woman gets extremely depressed, disoriented, and confused, and can easily run mad. So we are now saying, by the way, in a Mioga, the best performing circles are the ones of women. And this is the practice even the youth should pick up from. The youth have a lot of energy. They are so dynamic, they are very innovative. For me, I am talking through experience because I've been a youth, I've been a youth leader, I've been a youth worker. And I know that if the youth really take advantage of there is a Mioga youth leadership circle, then the youth cut across all the other circles of tailors, of carpenters, of welders, of border. They should take advantage of this and make sure they make a lot of money. And also in the PDM, there is a fund with 10% of the PDM money is reserved for the youth. But the youth also cut across and they can benefit. So this is what I really wanted. That while we also emphasize on education. Because with education, people already know. By the way, an educated youth who deliberately goes to start smoking marijuana does so not out of ignorance. They know it, but because of frustration. So the biggest question now is, to what extent are our people, both leaders, both beneficiaries, taking up the advantage of the NRM's core value of socio-economic transformation and ensuring that they are fighting poverty and come out of poverty. So that is one thing. Then the other one is that we need to keep on telling our people, like you have just discovered, you told me when we were conversing, that this mental thing can also be hereditary. To what extent can we keep on sensitizing, talking to our people, and ensuring that our people really come to learn that this thing can be avoided. Like conflicts. I normally see a conflict, especially over land in Arua district. It brings a lot of stress. Where, for instance, in Logiri, I forget the parish, a brother picks a panga and cuts a brother. Cuts off the brother's hand. Then the other brother with the remaining hand picks the same panga and cuts the brother to death. All these are things that honestly we can not only avoid, but also we can eliminate completely in our societies.
Okay, let's put the RDC on pause there and let's move to the psychiatric officer. There are so many questions already coming in my inbox. I've seen two of them. One of the questions is coming from Adrico Godfrey, who has actually said, can you give a light on the issues to do with the mental health that is like hereditary, something that you might get from another person because he's a young man, he wants to marry, and what are some of those signs that you can really trace in order for him to marry not a mad woman. And that's one from Adrico Godfrey. And let's read that from Hema Medical. You see somebody saying youth attributes some drugs to sexual performance enhancement. Can doctor clarify on that? Maybe those are two questions to you directly. You can pick from any of them. If coffee is coffee associated with the addiction and mental health? Okay, those are two in one, and you can pick any and start from there.
Thank you. As I said earlier, that a drug is any substance when taken to the body alters the normal function of the brain. And it could be food substance, could be medicine we use for treatment, could be another chemical which is there can cause that. Of course, coffee is a plant. We use the seeds, the berries, and the coffee has psychoactive substance called caffeine. Our bodies respond differently to caffeine or other drugs. Me personally, I don't take caffeine because it makes me nervous. But of course, our bodies respond differently to these substances like caffeine. There are people who, when they use coffee, they stay alert, they're able to perform their work very well. But of course, there are those who take, when they take, they get so nervous and the heart rate tends to increase, others get tension, headache, and the rest.
So this interferes with the normal functioning of the brain, because many times people tell me if you don't want to sleep, you should take excess coffee. Is that the issue?
Yes, caffeine is what they call, it has that, it is what they call psychoactive stimulant. When you take it, it makes you alert, it makes you concentrate, it makes you focus, because it depends on how one's body is reacting to it. There are those who have sensitivity to caffeine. When they take it, they get disorganized themselves, that they become nervous instead of performing. But of course, if you take it repeatedly, you may become addicted to it. Yes. Okay. But of course, does not cause any serious alarm to the society as other drugs.
Okay, let's move to this young man who wants to marry and is fearing that he might marry a mad woman. How can he move away from that and make sure that he marries that one who may not bring madness in his home?
Culturally, liberal culture in Western area here, those days, before you get married, it is the clan and the parents, especially the aunties, who will identify for you as partner to marry, in the sense that they need to go into details to see the background of this family, whether there's any history of chronic illness, the family, how do they behave, do they have other illnesses, do they have those things with graph and the rest, before you make decisions. But of course now, our youth just meet in the street and on WhatsApp. They don't have time to go deep into those things. They end up just marrying like that. Then they end up getting this problem later. But of course, these are what they call hidden genes. You may not see it obviously. This person who had mental illness might have been one of the great grandfathers who have already died, but the gene continues to move quietly from one generation to another. Then if you marry such kind of person, or you are from one of these families who had that gene of weakness of mental illness. But of course, if other factors, as I talked about, social issues come in, they can combine to make you to break down the mental illness. But of course, take your time to find out the genetical background of such families. But of course, it is also with other sicknesses like diabetes, hypertension, and the rest. Okay,
so that is it about the two questions, or three of them that were asked, and let's move to our final concluding remarks. Let me start with the doctor here. If you can finish up what you had prepared in 1 minute, because we are left with the 3 minutes. So each of us has 1 minute. Okay, you can start.
Thank you so much for giving this opportunity to talk to the media about what's happening with the mental illness. Is a broad subject. Mental illness is preventable, it is treatable, and it can be avoided by using medications. Drugs, people who are already addicted to drugs, they can be helped. So there's a rehabilitation that addiction rehabilitation program. You can come to Hama, we can talk to you, we can see how we can support you to come out of it. You can go to the hospital or any other facility where there's other services can be offered. Okay. So mental illness, in summary, is treatable, and the person with mental illness can be treated and can live a normal life.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. That is from Doctor. Let's move to RDC. RDC, your passing words?
Yes, one is that let us not demonize people who are already mentally disturbed. We can do a lot of counseling, like Doctor said, counseling and guidance. But also, let us sound a very strict warning to our people that you can easily become mentally disorganized if you do not prevent some of these issues and make sure that you don't take too much alcohol, don't abuse these drugs, but generally, let us fight poverty, because the biggest cause of stress is normally poverty, and now that there is an opportunity, let us take advantage of these government programs and become rich. And once we are rich, then we would have socio-economically transformed ourselves, and therefore we shall be at a better advantage. Okay. Now the country talks about patriotism, Pan-Africanism, all these elements of love, that you have to love yourself more than you would even imagine somebody else would love yourself. So it all begins with you. Okay. Then you extend the love to your neighbors, to your community, and let us guide each other to come out of this risk and also come out of this. And once you are hit by the same, like dementia, Doctor, if we have time to talk about dementia, because it is also on the increase. But once this is a hit, then you go to the nearest hospital for test. After test, you can be treated. It is possible to come out of it.
All right, and that is it from the guests that I had here. I had a psychiatric doctor from Hema Hospital that is located in the that training center is called Kebiri, and it is in that market, and you'll be able to really locate them around there. And we appreciate you for coming, but also the RDC, most importantly, I appreciate you for coming to present the leaders. Okay, it is always good. It is always hard for many of you to come on such a day like Monday, because I know security meetings are always done on Mondays and so on. There's a lot that you need to do. Up next, we'll be having the news in Lukurati with Fete Manuel, but behind the camera is a Dijon Pro, but also we have the producer, Aldo, who has been there projecting all these things. We appreciate you for this day, and make sure that the day goes well. There are so many other programs that will be coming on your way. I'm out of the studios. My name is Federick Dramadri. Thank you.